again. It's me. Right. Not an easy week. Okay, I know I expanded your definition of trig to the Cartesian plane, and last lesson was mainly difficult because when we talk about abstract things without a lot of problems to solve, it's difficult. It's a lot of ideas, difficult. Today we're still working with the same ideas, but we're applying our problems, so I think it will be a bit easier. That's why I took my jacket. Okay, I can move a bit more. It's a bit more loose. The lesson is a little bit more loose. Okay. But let's just remind us what we've learned. We've learned that basically trig is about ratios between different sides on a triangle, and the triangle can be anywhere on the Cartesian plane. So I've got one, and I didn't really say it, but one apex, one little point of the triangle is always the 0, okay? And the other point is somewhere along the circle with a radius r. And if I do connect these two, then the third bit is going to be basically your x and the y's here. Okay? So if I've got x and y, then sine theta is y over r. This is obviously the r. Cosine theta is x over r. Tan theta is y over x. That's all you really got to do. You've got to know. Okay? From that, everything comes. Now, these kind of problems I'm going to do today, it's page 82, exercise 8. Interesting for you to know, they already are matric level. So when you go on to do matric in a couple of years' time, you will do these questions. They don't change much. Maybe a little bit more complication, but they're as they are. And they're not difficult, but we always need to remind the students because they all work by using diagrams. We're not using calculators here. So if you understand these diagrams from last lesson, you'll be absolutely fine. Okay? And if you don't, you'll get it this time. Okay. So I'm doing the first question. I think it's A, and they're telling us like that. They're telling us, look, sine theta. They tell you sine theta is 3 over 5, and theta is between 0 and 90, because now we know theta can be anything between 0 and 360. Okay. But they tell you no, they're between 0 and 90. In other words, they're in the first quadrant. They want you to find theta. But you can't use a calculator. On the calculator, you'll just do sine minus 1, shift sine, and then you put 3 over 5 and find theta. But you're not allowed to do that. You've got to use a diagram. How do we do that? Okay. So the first thing to do is to realize, okay, so we know that theta is somewhere here. So let's say this is theta. So in other words, my x and y, okay, this is my x, and this is my y. They're in the first quadrant. Okay. Now, I don't know what x and y are. And I don't know what r is as well. But I know that y over r is equal, what is y over r? This is r. Y over r is exactly 3 over 5. Right? Because sine theta is y over r, and sine theta is 3 over 5. So y over r is 3 over 5. I don't know what y is. I don't know what r is. Very important to understand that. But I know the ratio between is 3 over 5. So let's just say, go with me, flow with me. Let's say that y is indeed 3. Let's just make it up. Let's say it's 3. Okay? What should r be? If y is in fact 3, then r obviously have to be 5. It has to be 5. It has to be 5 because the ratio is 3 over 5. So if y is 3, r is 5. But then you're telling me, hang on, sir, but you don't know that y is 3. Maybe y is actually 6. You're right, maybe y is 6. But in that case, r would be 10. Because the ratio must be 3 over 5. So again, flow with me and say, it doesn't really matter what x and y is, because they're not asking us what x and y. What they're asking us, I didn't say what they're asking us. They're asking us to find cosine square theta and 2 tan theta. So they're not asking us to find what y, r, or x, but they're asking us to find some trig function, which all are ratio. So it doesn't matter. All important is the ratio. So trust me, and you'll see that I'm correct. We can safely say that, let's say y is 3, then in that case, r is 5. Okay? Just go with me. Y is 3, r is 5. Now, I want to know cosine squared theta. That really means cosine theta. I'm just reminding you, and I'm squaring that. But now, what is cosine theta? Cosine theta, I'm just sitting from here, it's x over r. So if I got to do square that, I got to square that. Okay? Now, I know that r, I made it kind of, you flowing with me, r is 5, right? But I don't know what x. Okay, I know what y is, I know what r is, but I don't know what x. Any idea how we're going to find x? Of course, Pythagoras, okay? So I'm going to just write it down here. Will you be able to see it? Okay, so I know that x squared plus 3 squared equal 5 squared. Therefore, x squared equal 5 squared minus 3 squared. X equals square root 5 squared minus 3 squared. In fact, by now, grade 10, I think you might, some of you remember that this is the golden triangle. If this is 3, this is 5, that must be 4. Okay, it doesn't work always like that, it just works with these triangle numbers. Okay, so x is 4. So I can write that x is 4. I can put, instead of x, I can write 4. Okay, and then I need to square that. So the answer will be 16 over 25. Okay, now I'm just going to take a minute here and say, go back to what you told me in the beginning. You told me, so you just can't just make that this is 3. Okay, you're right. Maybe, let's say it was 6, yeah. We said if this was 6, then that will be double as well, will be 10, because 6 over 10 will still need to be 3 over 5. Okay, but then in that case, 4, that, x is not going to be 4. If you do, if this is 6, this is 10, this is 10, this is 6. I'm just updating. Okay, I doubled each one of the sides. Okay, 10 square minus 6 square, how much is that? 100 minus 36 is 64. 64. Square root of 64 is 8. So 8, x is 8. And then we're going to write down instead of x, right? Cosine is x over r. X is going to be 8, and r we said is 10. It's still going to be the same thing. Still going to say, you can check that. 8 over 10 is the same as 4 over 5. It's still going to be the same answer. So what we're trying to say here is, okay, I'll just change everything again. Okay, if this is 3 over 5, y is over r is 3 over 5. Let's call y 3. Let's make it 3. Then therefore that must be, r is supposed to be 5. And this is 4, and everything going back to normal. Okay? We're all right with that. Now, we're not finished. The second bit they're asking us to do is find out 2 tan theta. So 2 is just 2. Tan theta is, what is tan theta? Is y over x. Okay? But I know what y over x. Y, we said, is 3. X is 4. Okay? 6 over this cancel out. 3 over 2. The answer is 3 over 2. Okay? So I solved one problem with you. It's all about the diagram. I'm going to solve one more problem. Okay? And then I think you guys can do the rest.